This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to call to order the regular May 4th, 2026 council meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. All rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We do have one omission in unfinished business tonight. Letter C, I'm going to omit the lifeguard discussion tonight. So. Any other additions or corrections to the agenda? I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Your second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, mayor's report. Guess we have a citizen of the month. Councilor Webb?
Yeah, it was my honor to have the citizen of the month. Well, it was last month. And it does say for April. So, kind of follows with my theme I've been following all along. Somebody that volunteering in our community, having a positive effect on other people. Actually, this person's actually fairly newer to our community in relative terms, like us lifers. But it's really nice to see when people move here and they embrace what they found. And they fit in and volunteer and make our place a better place. And so that's why I selected my person of the month, Jasmine Sherman. For April. I moved here and said June of 2020. Down by Battle Creek in the flood zone. Originally come from Virginia. Boy, that's just about as far across the state as you can come. Moved to Portland. I could just tell over the phone she wasn't thrilled about being in Portland. And I didn't get the story of how they found Vernonia, but they found Vernonia and said, this is where we need to be. So Jasmine, probably most of us know her as the concession lady at the Legion at the bingo nights. Probably roped into that by her husband, the Legion commander. She also does a lot of the shopping for that. That's a great fundraiser for the community. I struggled. After originally selecting Jasmine, I thought, well, maybe I should do the couple because it's kind of a power couple here, but I'm going to leave that open for one of the other counselors. But she also serves meals at the senior centers, and they cook, but takes them out to all the seniors and on Mondays and Fridays. But the thing that the person that suggested Jasmine to me says really makes it with the seniors is the monthly birthday cake. And so I've seen some of her cakes. They're pretty fancy. They're pretty good. Salmon Festival, I was a judge, and oh man, tough decisions there. But so she bakes birthday cakes once a month there, and they celebrate birthdays. I take it. She did pass on one interesting fun thing when she brought a cake out and started to cut it. And knife wouldn't go down through it right. Well, thinking you do a layer cake, you put parchment or something. She'd left a piece of parchment paper in her cake. I'm sure the seniors still appreciated it very much. So my citizen of the month, Jasmine Sherman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you very
And
much.
like I told you, we won't torture you and make you stay.
Thank you, Jasmine. Okay, any presentations? Council committee meeting reports.
I have, so library, we had a little bit of confusion. So I figured that since the minutes had already been submitted to us, I really didn't need to still follow up with Brandy. She and I have corresponded yet again. She's on vacation. She couldn't meet with me last week. And the meeting is not this month, it's next month. She was mistaken in letting me know it was this month. So she will be there at the next meeting, as will I. So June, whatever the date that is, I think it's the 3rd.
Okay, I understand we're searching for a library assistant. Posted that last week. So
Yes.
how's that coming along?
Received anything yet?
We haven't received
No,
anything
no applicants yet?
yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks, Sue.
You're welcome.
Well, I have a meeting to report on, Public Works Committee meetings, minutes for March 24th. Pretty good meeting. Chris Richards had joined us last week and gave us some insight as what we're presently up to, and they're checking out fire hydrants right now, and they do about 12 a day. And I'm not, he wasn't quite sure. The question was asked how many fire hydrants we have in the city, but it could be almost 400, believe it or not. But that, I don't know if that's correct, but anyway, George talked quite a bit about the aeration and Lagoon number 1 again. And so that took up about half an hour discussion, but they're still working on it. Chris brought a aeration system that he looked into from back east and presented it to us. And I don't have it with me right now, but it was pretty interesting. So good meeting. And that's about all I have to report on that. So, okay. Topics on the floor tonight.
Have one.
Okay.
Steve?
Just wanted to state to the council that I was at your last council meeting in reference to the discussion and dialogue in reference to hiring of a fire chief. And I would just like to go on record as saying, I hope that you have been able to come to such an agreement and that will be moving forward.
Police chief.
Police chief. Did I say fire chief?
Yeah.
Sorry, cross connection between one board and another. Anyway, the discussion was interesting. I just say that, you know, as a citizen of the community, I think it's high time we have a chief officer that can run the department. I think Sean has done a good job, and in listening to the presentation that he displayed as well as you. The one thing I was a little dismayed about and concerned me was when it got to, and I'll speak to the city administrator, when it got to the dialogue and it says we just have no money. Well, this process has been going on for a number of years. And so my position was, why has not there been the effort to look for funding for that to help offset it, to make it happen? And you were talking, I think, about $10,000 difference, and that could be looked at. And then the last thing was the very next day I get up and here's this news break article Vernonia is looking for a part-time librarian at $14 an hour. And just the night before, I heard we had no money. So, and it's an open position that's up for hire. So for me, it was like, okay, make sure we all do our jobs and we do our due diligence, especially when it comes to budgeting, to make sure that the funds can be looked at and how we can do it. Because obviously, we all know that we can make cuts. We don't like to, but we can if we have to help make a more important position, in my opinion, be attrition. I would rather personally have a chief of police that's running his department and his staff, governing our city and taking care of it, than I would have, and I don't mean to be facetious with this, than a part-time librarian. And that's just one of the tokens. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Okay. Moving right in, consent agenda for acceptance, Public Works Committee minutes for March 2026. Any further discussion on that meeting minutes?
I move to approve the consent agenda for acceptance.
So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Counselor Webb. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, consent agenda for approval. City Council meeting minutes for April 20th, 2026.
Give me a writing utensil.
Pardon me?
Can you give me a pen?
Oh,
Thanks.
I move to approve the consent agenda for approval.
so moved. Second?
I'll second again.
Second by Counselor Webb. Again, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you. Unfinished business, staff report, on-call scheduling on budgetary impact. Page 5. So has everyone read this from staff? So I guess I have still a few questions. There's 2 people on staff that are on call or have the ability to be on call. Is that correct?
That is correct.
But there's only one person on call at any given time.
That is correct.
Okay. So how many times have we ever used that on call or made calls when you're on call?
How many times have we been called out? Since June or July of last year, it's been 13 times
13.
as of date.
And I'm just trying to get a general sense of, I haven't dealt with it much. I do know that, we don't have 24-hour coverage, even with 4 full-time policemen. And my one concern is that if you ever get the policeman on duty would ever get like a domestic violence call where he would require a backup. And because we don't want to put that scenario at risk for the city. And so if that ever happens, sometimes the person on call would, of course, respond if he required a backup. So, okay. Go ahead. I was going to try to finish this scenario.
Clarify that for you, sir.
Okay.
So there's 33 hours during the week that nobody is here, that somebody is on call. Okay. And that means nobody's working. So if there's a call that comes and that officer that's on call has to respond, he's coming by himself unless you can get county or OSP, but that all depends if they've got somebody working. So when there's somebody on duty, there isn't anybody on call. Now I'm available, but I'm on call supervisor. So if, somebody that's on duty has something that they need to talk about or they don't know anything about, then they call me and we discuss it.
Go ahead, Dale.
So just doing a little searching online and pertaining to police in Oregon. I see quite a bit of reference to the on-call framework. It really has to do around how restrictive it is to your personal activities. So in most of these cases where somebody's getting called out, is it somebody that's already worked a day shift? Maybe probably going to be scheduled in the next day.
Yes.
And so they're in that gap is their sleeping time. So that's, other than waking you up and getting a call time, is not really restricting your movement. They talked about having to be within, a lot of it is, if you're restricted to the station or restricted within 10 miles.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys talk about being able to get here in a half an hour. Of course, in a half an hour, if it's anything serious, it's already done and said, usually within 5 minutes. But so to me, it looks like a lot of departments don't pay that call time.
Actually, they do. St. Helens Police Department pays $25 an hour with a minimum of 4-hour call out.
So, and one thing I seen in here, they were talking about a lot of departments, if for a 6-hour call, they pay 1 hour pay. So.
Not aware of that. I was just aware of.
Yeah,
St. Helens.
they were really, if you're restricted, then like I say, if it was like a weekend day that you're scheduled off and you want to go to somebody's birthday party and have a brewski and we're saying, no, you got to be on call. If we're saying you have to be called, and I believe in our definition for on call in our agreement, it says it's basically at the discretion of the city.
It may be scheduled.
They may be scheduled. So another point, you have a contract with the city as a sergeant?
Yes.
Okay. Does it allow you to have collect call time or on call time and call time?
No.
Yeah.
It just says that I'm the on-call supervisor.
On call supervisor gets paid? No.
No.
Okay. But you've been receiving.
Well, since 2022, when Connor and Dave left, we kind of took my sergeant's contract and kind of put it aside since I was working 7 days a week.
Right. And I've had that discussion with Josette. I know we kind of opened the door and that was only fair during that time period when we didn't have full staffing, that you got compensated for having to be on call, knowing you're probably going to get called because you were the only person that was going to come.
In this last pay period, I stopped doing that. And then Officer Schultz called in sick. So I would work day shift that day. So I had to take his shift on call. But I only did it for that. I only put in for that 10 hours and that was it for his scheduled shift. After that, I didn't put in for any on call.
But previous to,
But previous
have been.
to the last pay period, yes, I was.
I mean, the concern the staff's having was we burn up our budget with using that on call. Doesn't look like we have the ability to put it in the budget or very much of it for this next year. It's an issue. We need to address it. Like I said, I think when we need to get back to when we're really physically restraining somebody that they can't go about their personal business, then we're paying it. But if we're not, especially, I mean, I don't want to sound demeaning, but a person sleeping, your movements are not restricted only by yourself. I understand you got to get called out, but then you are getting compensated for that call out. I mean, I had the same thing where I work. I used to get they called me in, I'd get a 4-hour call time and then they cut it to 3 like yours. But where we're headed overall for police department is increasing costs, and our only alternatives if we're going to pay this out, keep doing this, is we are going to have to make major cuts somewhere. And it isn't going to be just an assistant librarian. It's probably going to be the library or another personnel. So the way the current contract says, Sergeant Carnahan shouldn't be receiving that pay. The last fiscal year, he was the major recipient of it, but like I said, you know, when times were tough and we needed him and we did compensate, and we thank him very much for that. And it's not about people here. It's the city is a business we have to run. We got fiscal constraints. We think we can get it scraped together for this year, but I'm really concerned about the years down the road. I mean, it's really great. We've had staff that are now stuck with us, but it's putting more pressure on the budget. Just, I have to take some of that blame because I guess I didn't realize, you know, this train wreck was coming at us like it was, but we can't keep adding to it. In my opinion, somebody else.
You were going to say something?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So so like I said, there's 33 hours a week that aren't covered. I was taking 20 hours and Officer Kendall was taking 13. I don't think that we can require him to take a patrol vehicle home and answer the phone if we don't pay him on call. I think that that's what the CBA says. If he's scheduled to be on call, then we have to pay him for it.
It doesn't say anything about a vehicle. It says if an employee is required by the city to serve on-call duty, they shall be compensated at the rate of the current state minimum wage of on-call duty. Employees who are called into active duty while serving on-call duty will be compensated at the overtime rate of 1.5 times regular pay for a minimum of 3 hours. On-call duty shall only be assigned to employees for work within their own classification, and on-call time will be pre-scheduled by the chief of police or their designee. Employees who are placed on call will be provided with a take-home vehicle.
Okay. So if he's scheduled to be on call, then he gets a take-home car.
Right, but there's nothing, if he's the most senior officer, there's nothing stopping us from allowing him to have a take-home vehicle on the off chance he would get called out and need to respond in that vehicle, just like you. There's nothing that stops us from letting him take a take-home vehicle home on the off chance he's called out. And that's one, almost like down to one time in a month.
Right.
A little more than one time a month that someone's getting called out back to duty. So, and ultimately, this kind of goes away if the sheriff's office is able to do it. But the reality is the sheriff's office is upside down. The reality with St. Helens is they're sending to their voters to put $24 on their utility bill to cover what they're doing with on-call and call-outs. They're not funding it themselves. They're having to go to the citizens and put it on their utility bill, a $24 charge every month per account in St. Helens. So we're not the only department struggling with this apparatus of call out.
Yeah. Officer Schultz, you had something?
I would just say that as far as the on-call, whether it's paid or unpaid, I would suggest looking into any restrictions on what they classify as wait to be engaged time versus engaged to wait. So police officers would fall in line similar to how they classify a firefighter, where they classify it as you're engaged to wait, meaning that you're not officially on duty, but you're fully prepared to respond to your duty, meaning a patrol car, uniform, ready to go. So more information just to look into.
In the past, we didn't do it that way. And that's how we saved the money that has been allocated out of this budget, and we don't have in the drafted budget for next year. That's not how the police department ran. If you were called out, you were compensated for being called out, but it wasn't that you were on call the way that we're doing it now.
So how has it been working with 4 full-time police officers? Has it been working pretty well? I mean, say if there wasn't on-call.
Yeah, we've only been called out 13 times in 7 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
A little more than one time a month, someone is getting called out in that time period. The other thing that Sean and I have discussed that probably isn't interesting to the officers, but choosing for that on-call time not to be in the middle of the night via creative, moving the scheduling so that that on-call time is more of a date, timing your on-call time to be when there's not the most happening. For on-call time to be, lucky for us, it hasn't been really taxing because it's only happened 13 times in 8 months. But to have the on-call time be when the bars close, it would be more advantageous to us to shift the scheduling so that someone's here till a certain point past that and have the on-call time end up at some other point in the day. I understand that isn't always advantageous for people's schedules, but you could do it in such a way that everyone has 1 month where they're on the cruddy schedule, if that makes sense. But then the rest of the months they're on the other schedule rotation. So creative scheduling is a way that departments get around having that so that the on-call time is way less likely to be called out. So I think we need to be looking at creative solutions because going into the next proposed budget, the police fund's adding like $100,000 to the proposed budget, and we only have around 200,000 in the general fund facilities reserve. We do not have an operating reserve for the general fund, and general fund is only funded with the taxes, and that is flatlined. And so pay for in the general fund, the 4 officers, Iwilani, you pay for 6 staff at City Hall, and you pay for the library, all under that one tax amount. There's not other funds that pay for any of those people. So it's not that if we had the money, we wouldn't do it differently. We really don't have the money, and it's not from not budgeting correctly. Each of those funds are in different, they're all under the general fund, but they're different categories that the budget committee sets the amount to, not me. The budget committee is the responsible party for setting up what is within each fund each year, and my job is to stay within that budget. The reason I'm bringing it to you guys is if we continue it the reason I'm bringing it to you is because when I brought it up that we needed to stop it, it was not heard. And it kind of came to you guys via this channel of the meeting that happened last week. And if we continue to do it, we'll spend another $6,000 before the end of the fiscal year. And then potentially another $36,000 next year, which we don't have. The tax estimate from the county only went up $40,000. With everyone's increases, that's not even covering that. So that's why it's now in front of you guys to determine the direction, because in 10 years, I've never gone out of budget, and this year we will be. And so I need either the authority to keep us in budget, or you guys decide if you want to take it out of budget.
Susan?
So one of the things I see as an issue, and the number is the cost is the cost if we continue. But everything is increasing. The wages increase. They bump up 5% a year.
The police department bumps up 10% a year. The CBA members.
Okay,
It doesn't include COLA.
so,
No, it doesn't. That does not include their COLA stipend.
oh, okay, so a lot.
Yeah.
So that's a huge expense that's getting incurred year over year above what it is this year. Other things are more expensive. I mean, just the nature of the economy right now is more expensive. I think it's incumbent upon us to, well, it's not really our job, I don't think. I think it's your job, but you've asked for some guidance. And now that I say that out loud, is it appropriate for us to push this back onto you and ask you for suggestions on how best you think it would be to address this? Or are you asking us to get in the middle of something that we'd already agreed was not our job? Did that make any?
If you're asking my opinion, I believe you got in the middle of something that wasn't your job already, and my direction was not taken, and my direction is now in front of you. I gave the understanding, and I communicated to staff on multiple occasions that we cannot do on-call time anymore. We can't fund it. We're going upside down. We're risking keeping all of our staff members with the increases plus the flatline taxes. I laid out the whole picture. And then on the 27th, I'm here debating it with a staff member. So you've already interjected yourselves. And so I think it's only right that the decision be made by you guys.
Thanks.
So I read the job description that was handed out to us last week. Class title, chief of police, full-time exempt, salary range. First page, third paragraph, supervision received. The work is performed under the direction of the city administrator and the general administrative direction of the city council.
Right, meaning your policies and procedures. That's in the job descriptions for all of them. They're not your employees, though. I'm your only employee.
Right.
So the general administration means that when you guys set an employee handbook, when you set a wage scale, I'm using that administrative policy of yours down the line. It doesn't mean you administer or direct the other staff other than me. In the 678, the ordinance that I referenced in my email to you guys, that is where that's laid out. That I follow the policies you guys enact, and I have all the employees follow those policies.
So we did not follow our own policy.
Correct.
And I appreciate your letting us know that. And I wish there was a way that we could dial this back so that we were not in this situation, because we should not be. It really is incumbent, again, use that word, incumbent upon us that we do not get ourselves in the middle of a mess like this, because it's not our job. There are processes whereby it can be brought to council if there is an issue, but I mean, there's a reason for the handbook, there's a reason for our ordinances, there's a reason for our council rules and all of that. I am also concerned that this potentially could trigger a Me Too. So when you're working with unions or contracts and agreements with your staff, if one group or one person who has a certain type of agreement or contract gets something, generally, all of those other groups like say, they got that, why am I not getting this? And I'm a little, if we are already facing a budget issue,
Right.
that's going to create more of an issue. And that, for instance, school district, 3 different contracts, 3 different unions. Every one of them, when you make a decision on one group, affects the other 2, as well as the leaders of the organization. I think that's something we also need to be very careful of. And I don't know how to hand this back to where it belongs. And I don't know what we can do. I mean, it's our job. We were asked to approve an agreement to be passed on for the chief of police for presentation. But that was us approving something for the city administrator to do. And I'm stuck.
Dale,
Well, I think it's incumbent upon this council, since we did get involved. The administrator pushed it back to us and we got to make a decision. We can't just leave her hanging.
I'm not wanting to leave her hanging. I would like to work with her to figure out the best way to remedy this.
Well,
And I just want to make sure we're not doing something we should not be doing, because we don't step in this all the time. We don't do this all the time. And so you want the people who are experienced and whose job it is to do those things. So I'm trying to just figure out, and I don't want to leave her hanging. I don't want to leave him hanging. And I am certainly not hesitant to take responsibility for something that's my job. But I want to make sure that we're doing our job and not our job.
Sean, does the Fraternal Order of Police ever get involved with the negotiating in your case, like with the city?
Not in my case. They do collective bargaining agreements, though.
So you're not a part of the union?
Well, I have the legal defense plan. Yeah.
What?
I have what's called a legal defense plan. But I can't call them and ask them to come negotiate my contract for me.
Okay.
so follow up So in the next budget, is there any money allocated for on-call time?
No. There's no money to do it with.
No money to do it.
Yeah, the police budget just with the step increases is going up $97,144.
But Sean,
So from where I stand, that's a pretty cut and clear case. We don't have the money for on-call, then we eliminate the on-call. But somebody needs to make that decision.
Right. And that was one of the things we had directed me to do, is prepare a letter to the county telling them we expect, we are asking them to hold up their end of the bargain for the amount of money we have been paying for the sheriff's department to cover our area. And when is this contract expected to be put into place? I mean, is there a date that you're expecting this, or you're expecting this to be done so that,
Chief's contract,
yes,
there is not an expected date. It's back in front of you tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we're at an impasse.
right. So that might be part of the solution. And again, not trying to step into what we're not supposed to be stepping into, but between that and the suggestion of some creative scheduling. I do have a question, generically, not historical on-call times. Have those generally been middle of the night,
The early hours of the morning.
2 to 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Follow-up question. Is sheriff more likely to be able to respond during the day? I know that's a,
I don't have access to his schedule, so I don't know how many people he has on day shift or how many people he has on night shift. So.
okay. I was just wondering if, that might be part of the discussion as to the alternatives as to how we provide the best services to our citizens.
Dennis,
Is this a deal breaker, the on-call for you?
If there's no on-call, there's no on-call. Right? So.
And is that an appropriate question to ask out loud in an open session?
We talked about it last
Is
week.
any of it appropriate?
No, it's not, but
Can I ask a question?
So with what Sean just said, in light of what Counselor Webb was talking about the budget, and we just don't have the money for it.
Right.
It seems like this dais is leaning towards that, making that decision to do away with the on-call at this time. So.
It could happen.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah. So do we have some call time written into the budget?
An overtime budget.
Time?
The overtime. Okay. I mean, I'm just want to make sure. I mean, we can't expect to call these guys out and have them coming. I mean, they're getting paid.
Just have that budget.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, and that's been the normal case.
Mhm.
I mean, years back. I don't know if this satisfies the administrator. She did ask us to get in the middle of this.
I didn't ask you to get in the middle of it. You got in the middle of it, so the decision is yours.
Yeah.
So you guys need to make a motion directing me what to do about on-call pay and
That's
how.
what I was getting at.
That's what I was getting at.
Okay. Are we happy with that?
Doesn't sound like we have much choice.
Well, I mean, you have choices. I mean, you could say, well, I want to get rid of the library, or I want to get rid of this paid position. I can do this and that, but it also wasn't customary to use it this fashion, how it got used. So we're going to continue down that path. We have to make cuts. Or we go back, revert back to kind of how it used to be before COVID. So.
Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move that.
Go ahead, Dale.
I move to direct the city administrator to eliminate on-call time out of the police budget.
So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Counselor Norman. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Okay, staff report, employment agreement, chief of police, 6 through 11. We have an updated contract.
So you guys have a new one in front of you that I handed out to you that's not in the packet, Mayor? There's
Yeah.
a new one.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So the only change from the one that was in the packet is that on the top of the section number 5, it stated a monthly salary, and I had put the twice weekly payment amount in there, so I corrected that to the monthly salary. And then I put in the section that you guys requested about the documenting the pay bump, the one-time base wage increase upon obtaining certification. And then I put in the requested from the employee 3 months severance amount and remove the probationary amount. So what the decisions before council tonight are, what should that percentage be in section 5? Whether or not they're going to approve the removal of the probationary period before severance is allowed, and if they're willing to do it from 2 months to 3 months as requested.
Can I address council?
Go ahead, Sean.
So it was my understanding last Monday, when we discussed this, that you guys wanted to hear my concerns. So I mentioned one of them, which was the probationary period. And then when I left, I thought I was instructed to email Josette what I wanted in there, or what I would request be in there. That's what I did on the 28th. I reviewed the packet today, and so I noticed that there were a couple of things that were missing, and so I emailed Josette regarding it. I didn't realize that this negotiation was closed. I thought it was still open. Am I wrong or am I right?
The direction that I took from council was that these were the 2 amendments you wanted the contract in front of you to determine, and not that it was an open negotiation. I don't ever remember anyone directing Sean to email me. And when Sean did email me on the 28th, I said, I am putting the amendments per council direction in the contract. Because no one said to negotiate further. They said to bring back these amendments. And this is another reason that I think this contract should be signed by council. Because the dynamic is not a supervisor-employee dynamic any longer.
And for that, again, I'm sorry. So I've looked at the information that Sean provided. He provided us with a copy as well. What he had emailed. And
Different.
there's,
That's different.
so there's two things. One is the requirement for the DPSST training within 2 years. That,
I have not, no,
Yes, that is her version.
yeah, that's,
yeah, oh, sorry, yeah. That's the chief bump base wage, sure.
and then, although it didn't include the potential third year, but I'm not sure that needed to be in here or not. I don't know. But the only difference in Sean's that I saw was that in addition to 3 months salary, there's then accrued vacation and comp time.
Yeah, that's not in any contract and that's in the further, that's always paid out and comp time is never paid out.
We don't track.
We don't track comp time. And for any exempt employee, they're required to flex their time to not be taken advantage of, but it's not a tracked thing by the city. Actually, the handbook says we don't do it. So
But
in that way.
But in section 7.2 termination for cause, that terminology is there.
Oh, okay.
And so it just makes sense to put it in.
Oh,
termination-
okay, so that,
Termination without cause.
so comp time should not be in there. That is not something that's in any contract with any employee. We do not pay it out upon separation to anyone. We've never have. It's not something that's tracked by the city. It's actually against our handbook. So that should not be in there. Accrued vacation is, sick time is reported to PERS, comp time is not a thing.
Can I ask a legal question? We are discussing a contract with an employee in open session.
Yeah, you are.
Is this, I'm not sure this is,
The contracts are public documents anyway.
okay. I just want to make sure negotiation is allowed in public session.
Well,
With his, well, I guess with his permission it is. Just like if we
Yeah.
were discussing you.
That's an evaluation though. That's,
Okay.
I don't know about the negotiation part, but hers is under evaluations, not negotiating a contract.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I don't want us to get in any more trouble.
As far as I'm aware for hers, contract's not included and you can't discuss or negotiate salary under executive session either.
so it has to be public anyway.
Okay.
I think if you guys are interested in signing this contract, then negotiate away. But that is not the direction you gave your staff member, your employee at the last meeting. So if you wanted to take the contract and the city council have two employees, the police chief and the city administrator, then you should do that because I think that's in the best interest for you guys to be the responsible party.
Because of what's occurred.
The police department no longer sees me as the supervisor and that's made clear.
That is not true.
The actions would say differently.
If you would have directed me to.
I'm not
the on-call-
having a conversation with you. I'm having it with council.
Well, my intent in calling last Monday's meeting was I had a couple questions. I wasn't having any problem with you doing your job. I just had a couple questions on the DPSS training And, you know, there was some questions I had, and
But
I suppose I should have come to you.
respectfully, Mayor, you took the complaints of an employee and you brought that to a public meeting instead of telling the employee to go speak to their supervisor. Which if Public Works had complained, the appropriate response would have been, you need to go talk to your supervisor. And that is not what happened. A meeting was called on behalf of that employee to discuss what they wanted to discuss. That's where I feel like it went inappropriate for us. And that's what I think led the employee to feel like they had credence and perspective for the council to do what they would like when the budget will not support what they would like.
Well, I guess I made a mistake. I apologize. Bottom line is, I think we're all here, sitting here tonight, and our intentions are honorable. We're trying to do what's best for the community and, you know, give Sean a fair and appropriate contract, and I hope we somehow get back on track, so.
Go ahead.
No, I was waiting to hear what you had to say.
The contract is not, the council's position was to develop a contract for a chief of police. That could have been Kendall, that could have been Brad, that could have been Sean. It was not supposed to be directly to benefit one member of the union, one member of the police department. Your contract was supposed to be a document that outlined what the council was willing to offer, and that is it. It wasn't supposed to be curtailed or made to match any one employee. And that's why originally I said we shouldn't do a contract. We should have the police chief be under the handbook like other cities. And you guys pushed for the contract, because that's the difference, is that a contract needs to be generic enough to be replicatable over employees. It shouldn't matter who that employee is. It shouldn't matter what the city can offer and whether or not any one of those 4 employees applied. It should have been met. That should be what was offered. If you tweak the contract too much, then legally you will have to go back into an internal posting on the off chance that the new offer is palatable or more interesting to any of those 4 employees. That's why it's a document, irregardless of the personnel, if I'm making myself clear.
Well, we had a workshop on this subject
Right,
a couple of months ago.
right.
And Reuben Cleveland, our city attorney, was at the meeting.
Yep.
And I came right out and asked Reuben, do you think a contract is important? He said, yeah. So I took his recommendation that the city of Vernonia have a contract with the chief of police. And then the contract that was presented to us on March 3rd, there were no numbers or anything. It was, I don't know. I got 3 or 4 contracts here right in front of me. I don't know what, I'm still confused, but I don't know. I hope we can get back on track.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, I don't know. Dale, go ahead.
I think we should, setting aside the intervention and the workshop, special meeting we had, the contract wasn't agreed to between the 2 parties.
Mhm.
Now, for myself, and I know your same view, there was, we would be asking the question, why wasn't it accepted to?
Mhm.
I mean, I do think and it isn't, you're not able to change the contract without us okaying it. So you would have come back to us and say, okay, you didn't accept it because of these reasons. So that's kind of where we're at right now. If we can just step around the rest of the mess. You posed some questions to us. We asked in that special meeting to look at the probation thing and the increase once completion of his studies are done.
Right.
That's all we can do is try to address those, hand you back a contract. And either it's agreed to or it isn't. And if it isn't, then we're done.
Right.
I mean, it's all we can do. Because if we do, otherwise, if we do too much tailoring, we're doing just what you said we shouldn't be doing, is it's getting tailored for one person and it's not for the whole. And it shouldn't be, it should be for a generic. Anybody could step into this. Because I mean, the announcement for this, the way it goes, it was 2 weeks, posted 2 weeks internal. And if it wasn't accepted, we could post external. Reality of that is we're not going to post it external. We don't have the money to hire a chief. We can't hire another officer.
In addition to our current.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be craziness. So. How do you want us to address those few issues? Hand this back to you? Present it to Sean or to the group? And
Well, if you make the amendments that were brought to you, then it's all been public knowledge.
yeah,
If you make amendments that, I don't know what Sean gave you. So if you make, didn't you say he gave you a contract?
the only thing,
The only difference was what I said out loud, which was the statement about the comp time and the,
Yeah, so if.
Termination.
One more.
Right.
And the designee,
yeah,
oh, and the designate. or delegate.
the council
Yeah.
have a designee.
But the 3-month salary, then accrued vacation and comp time. So it was just,
It's always accrued vacation and PERS gets, any sick time you have gets reported to PERS. Doesn't really count towards PERS, but that in like a monetary way, it counts like towards time served, basically. So that's what anybody's gotten anytime we've had a separation.
but those were the only differences.
Donald.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Just before you guys set, I'll need a copy of that for the file.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know, just that, don't forget, please.
So back to the original contract, which I understand is a good generic for future. Can, in this case, a note or something be in there because Sean was here for X amount of years? We waived that period so that he got the extra pay if he was dismissed.
What do you mean a note? Because you want to keep the original contract and then put a note, or you want to amend this contract to include what's been asked for?
I would like to keep the original contract. But because he's been with us for so long, he shouldn't be on that probation time.
Yeah, so you would just accept the amendment tonight to be included in the contract, and these minutes would show that. Minutes of meetings are forever too. So it would show any future council that the reason the probationary was waived was due to length of service.
Yes.
Yeah, so you don't have to put the length of service verbiage or like defense in there because the minutes of this meeting show that's why you guys did that. If you were to do that, if you were to strike the probationary. Yeah. That doesn't have to be in there to be for, and then ultimately, any new contract would start with the baseline. It would go all the way back to the original. And then council at the time would amend it however they see fit for whatever job they're offering, right? So it would go back to the probationary.
Right.
It would go back to probationary with any new contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if we hired somebody out of our realm, they would start the new probation.
Yeah.
But since he's been here so long, where you should be able to waive that.
Yeah, and that's what the contract that I presented to you has the 1 year, 1 month salary after 6-month anniversary stricken, and after 2 years, 2 month salary stricken. So the requirement to have served time is removed from this contract. I will say the request for 3 months is going to have a huge budgetary hit to you guys should you let this employee go without cause.
The 3 months rather than the 2.
Well, we've experienced that in a number of city administrator positions where you allow a bigger severance, and what ends up happening to the budget is you pay them the portion of the year they've worked plus that severance, and you're stuck not hiring for that job again until you pass that severance 3-month mark. Or in like the past city administrators, some of them got paid 6 months, and we had to go 6 months without somebody because we didn't have the money, because we paid out the money. Does that make sense? So that's my only concern with it going. I think it's this clause is very reactional to what's happened in the past. It's what's in my contract, and I've been here for 10 years. So if you fire me without cause, I get 2 months after 10 years, which is kind of ridiculous. Sean's been here 18 years. So 2 months seems ridiculous. But if we're looking at the contract from the business stance, the money isn't there, or the money's there, and then you're without that position until you hit the point in time after the severance. Does that make sense? So it's.
So I agree, 2 months is ridiculous. After
Any, yeah.
a termination without cause, I don't foresee being an issue. I can see that being an issue with new employees.
Can I clarify something? Termination without cause means that you don't want to go down the path to fight them for with cause termination. So it could just be, it's not working out anymore between the parties. And that happens way more than with cause. Because with cause, you have to have documentation. You have to have all your ducks in a row or you're getting sued, right? Oregon's an at-will state. And so termination without cause is how any employer would let someone go because it's not working out.
But so there's not another vehicle, for instance, we're giving you 3 months notice.
No, you're firing them with or without cause.
Okay.
In this contract, right? With employees under the handbook or under the CBA, it's progressive discipline. With my contract and this contract, it's with or without cause. You can do progressive discipline ahead of that, but still progressive discipline does not count as with cause termination because it needs to be like egregious things they've done.
I recall this from prior.
Okay.
Administrators. Question, is making this one 3 months going to affect what we need to do with other persons who are under contract with the city?
You would expect the Me Too clause to come into effect, yes.
Okay.
And if you're okay with that, then you're okay with that. I mean, that's ultimately, this contract is the council's document.
And I would welcome, honestly, having a 3-month.
But from the perspective of the person whose job it is to run the city efficiently and citizenry from the unknowns, it's not smart to put bigger amounts in there, even when it's a detriment to myself to not put bigger amounts in there or to not take on-call pay or whatever. The budget can't afford a lot of these things. And we've seen what it has done in the past when they fired administrators and they had huge severances, or even police officers that had big severances. It really negatively affects the department as a whole because you're stuck waiting till the period of time passes, till you're back in line with your budget, because the budget drives everything. The tax amount we get drives everything, whether we buy pens, don't buy pens. When I first started, we went on a spending freeze for 1.5 years. And I did get some information. One of the council members asked about past chief bump. So I wanted to bring that information. So interestingly enough, we're in kind of what feels like deja vu. The past chief was also doing a lot of overtime, being a small department and only small number of people. So we were paying overtime and call out time to that person. When they became chief, they took an 18% pay decrease from what they were making the year before with overtime. And then the next year they took a 3% decrease. And that's over the course of their tenure here, their base salary really, with those fluctuations, only went up 2.35% in 10 years. So it doesn't really give us much of a good picture of what council could use to put in the value they want to put in. I thought it would tell us more. I thought, oh, it's going to be 4%, it's going to be 5%, it's going to be some amount. And it just doesn't tell us a good picture to use for you guys. So unfortunately.
So are we ready to discuss the 2 amendments under number 5? Looking for a percentage upon completion of the DPSST.
And to clarify, the 3rd year can just be pointed back to the minutes saying that we had agreed.
That's DPSST's policy. So
Okay.
it's their policy that should extenuating circumstances arise, there's a potential 1-year extension. So it's not, this clause, the way it's written, isn't undoing that potential.
So,
Dale.
yeah, I mean, hard to pull a number out of the air. I mean, 2 years down the road, where we're going to be looking here anyhow. I mean, it deserves an increase, that's for sure. I mean, I'm just spitballing 5%, but I don't, I'm passing that buck on to somebody else here.
Right.
How fair that is, but I mean, it's got to be something. And on top of they get an annual per contract. But that wouldn't be his contract though.
No, this contract would fall under all the other employees, which get up to 5% merit
So
increase, at least in this
He
coming
would be
budget.
looking at
That
merit,
is,
merit and a COLA and then what we would assign.
yes,
It wouldn't be what the police union,
right.
they're getting
They're
an
going to
annual bump plus steps.
increase plus COLA.
Yeah. Okay.
So the thing is the reason it's identified here as the annual merit is that in years past, when the budget hasn't supported it, that merit percentage has fluctuated down. Where right now is 5% in the new, but 5% in this upcoming budget proposal. But it's been lower than that in years when we had to, for merit, which is based on the annual evaluation.
Is there a traditional amount based on the increase of?
No, that's the thing, going back to the old, that's the data we have. We don't have data on it.
Doing some math. It's less than $500 a month, I think.
But remember, we shouldn't be figuring out for a specific person.
No, I understand.
You're figuring out a percentage that the council thinks the budget can support that you guys are okay with. So when you're saying it's,
Yeah, a 7.5% increase would be about $625 a month.
based on someone's salary?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was,
Based on the 90,000.
yeah,
Yeah.
90 and change.
In 2 years, it's going to be a different number.
Mhm. No, I know. I understand.
That's what she's saying. Don't use a nut. You can't really do the math. You just have to pick a percentage.
I can do the increment.
Well, you can, but.
But Steph,
Sorry, what was the percentage? I missed it. I was typing.
They don't ask the question about 7.5%. I made an observation that 7.5% would be $625 a month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
so
Which I wish we had more money. I mean, for all our staff. I keep buying lottery tickets. I'm sorry. I'm admitting to that because every person in our city deserves a heck of a lot more than they're getting. We have exceptional people.
So we need a number.
my phone off.
So we throw it out a five.
So 5% would be about $4,500.
But like Angie said, you have to think about the number you're using being 10% more.
Right.
In 2 years.
Or 20. Well,
5,
sure,
he's not in the union.
that's right. Sorry. Okay.
So that's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
you're getting married to a number when in 2 years, it's going to be
Yeah.
whatever percentage of whatever that is. Does that make sense? Yeah.
A 5% based on your numbers, 4,500 is $375 a month,
Increase.
which I'm sorry is
This one.
you are taking someone from, granted, you're already doing the position. We have somebody doing the position, but that's not enough in my eyes. I would like to suggest, considering how much training and classes
Times the paper.
are required to obtain that position, I think it's not appropriate to have.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm throwing the budget out.
No. Sidebarring, sorry.
Okay.
Would 10% be too big of a strain?
What it looks like.
You don't have crystal ball, do you?
Right, I mean, if taxes went up,
Yeah.
you might be looking at a different story. If taxes stay flatlined, you're looking at even more tightness, like nobody knows. So that's why you guys just need to pick amongst yourselves a percentage you feel should go in that slot and propose that be made to them. And like, we can't tell you what it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't know.
Oh.
So if we happen to pick a low number today and later the budget allows it, could we offer more?
I mean, I think you would have to amend this contract. Let me see what it says. Yeah, so this allows for written agreement may be amended from time to time by written agreement of both parties. So the council at the time and the employee could agree that you're going to up that. But the tricky part is, will the council at the time?
Yeah.
Or will they say, I'm not for it? That's kind of why it's good to put what you guys think the worth, the number should be, even if it's a big number. They could also amend it a future council could amend it by coming back and saying, we have it, here it is, but now the budget's messed up this way and we have to do other changes within the department. Does that make sense? So it's kind of hard we don't have a crystal ball, but you could amend it. A future council could amend it with both parties agreeing.
I think amending it down would be
Yeah.
the death of not just the person being employed here anymore,
Ultimately,
but the council. I mean,
yeah.
it would not go well.
No, and ultimately, the way we're going with the current CBA, we're not going to be able to fund the department as it's funded now after 2027. So that's going to be a whole nother, council is going to have to be looking at, short of some big tax influx. If things stay flatlined in the economy the way they have been, there are massive changes that need to come and not, so.
Oh, I'll go with the 7.5 if that's what Susan wants.
Oh,
I mean, I'm
Would that
not
figure come out
gonna quibble over 2.5%.
I think that's the bottom that I would be willing to. I'd like it to be more, but I just don't know.
Sean.
I would be willing to take 5% as long as council will consider the adjustments that I made in the contract.
We are negotiating.
Is that including the comp time?
No,
Which, okay.
because that verbiage is the same as it is for the other section, termination with cause.
Okay. So the 3 months and the increase.
Copy, you got a copy of this?
I'm fine.
What does the council think about that?
Well, what's the difference between the two here? You're saying without cause?
Yeah, the section where it says termination with cause, as in their accrued salary, accrued vacation, accrued comp time. As long as that term, and obviously, I guess there's no
Yeah, there is.
legal,
There's no comp.
no legal comp time, but as long as the other is in the termination without cause. It'd be the 3 months, 3 month severance and then accrued vacation.
Yeah.
Donald?
I was gonna throw out there, we could waive the probation time and only still do the 2 years and do the 7.5% increase.
2 years or 2 months.
Well, after 2 months, he gets, well, we just, no matter what, from date of signing this contract, he'd get 2 months paid severance.
Yeah.
Instead of the 3?
Yes. And then to have him 7.5% finish. Decided to throw something out there, get us going.
People run out of popcorn out there.
That puts you to the positive by 3,000, well, more than 3,000. Now I have to do this again. 2 months would be, actually, it puts you to the better by a bit. Unless I added wrong. Because it would be over a period, obviously annually rather than all at once, but that's.
Susan, I'm not following.
No.
What's the 2 months?
So if his suggestion was 2 months salary for severance and a 7.5%.
Yeah, so what are you saying? It puts someone, I can't follow the.
So when you did math of how much he would gain for the 3 month salary versus 2 months versus 7.5% of his salary on a monthly basis, he comes out better at the 7.5%. But that was back to the napkin math. So I would ask Angie to double check that. Did that help you at all?
No,
Okay, sorry.
I don't know why they would be connected.
His suggestion is 2.5% difference. For the,
Donald said 7.5% and 2 months severance.
right.
Versus 5 and.
Oh, 5. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, sorry.
5 and,
That's what I was missing. I was like, wait, that's not what Donald said.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if that matters at all. But I still don't think, it means we still have to do, if we go with the 3, we have to do me too. But I believe in 2 years, the increase in value of having a chief of police who is fully certified. And I think that that's an investment in his time, in whoever that person is. And if this was a different person, I'd say the same thing. I mean, 2 years of your time on your own to invest to get the rest of the certification or any certification is extensive and needs to be.
So where are we at now?
Sean, understand you're saying you would take the 5% with a 3 month.
And with consideration, the council's consideration for the verbiage change in the track.
Say that last part again, Sean.
The verbiage change, so the highlighted red, and the one that I had proposed to Josette.
Delegate's one thing, but he's talking about the termination without cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we already said we have to strike the comp time on that.
But add the accrued vacation, just for clarification, correct?
So we're looking at now 5%. And then,
Well,
or
those are our choices.
Yeah.
I think you need to ask for discussion.
we have some discussion on it. Thank you, Counselor Webb.
Like, my own personal opinion, I think we should stick with our original contract. We'll do 7.5% after completion of this study and keep the 2-month severance package. And I think we could agree, well, I think we all agree the probationary period out of there, and I think that was proposed in our amended contract. And I don't have a problem with him having a delegate here for council meetings. Oh, I can't say.
Stephanie,
And also amending the comp time so that they mirror each other, right?
Taking out comp.
Taking the comp time out.
Yeah,
So make sure I'm getting all of the things I've heard so far.
yeah. You said that's in ours too.
Yeah, I don't know why it's in there because it isn't in the original. So
any other discussion? The council want to do then?
I'm still punching numbers there.
Yeah.
We need to pick one or the other.
Yep. Right.
March.
It's probably a small draft.
Is that?
It's probably a small draft.
I spoke to 7.5 in 2 years, and that's where I'm at.
Okay,
2 months.
Yeah, too much severance.
Susan?
I think that kind of is very close, whichever way we do it, whether it's 7.5% for the whole year and 3 months or 2 months severance, or 5% all year and 3 months severance. So I will go with whatever the council states. I prefer the 7.5%. I think it recognizes value, and I'm praying for the economy picking up. I have faith it will. And leaving the 3 months.
And I just think the 2 month severance avoids the Me Too clause, so. And we're just opening up a can of worms if we do that, if we go to 3, so.
Counselor Waller?
Well, I was going to propose the 5% with a 3-month was my,
Okay.
so make a motion.
What do you want, Mr. Mayor?
Well, we could vote on the first kind of motion that was made,
There's no motion.
or,
Nobody's made a motion yet.
Made a motion.
I have an alternative. With the 5%, 3 months, with the potential for what can be done, which is revisiting it in 2 years, if there's more money in the budget. And do a Me Too.
using
No,
the original contract and taking out the comp?
Yeah. I mean, all the other things, I'm just talking about the two numbers.
Okay.
Delegate or no delegate?
Oh, delegate. I think it's important for council to interact with all of the
Yeah.
officers and for them to understand how this works.
well, I'm going to go with the 5%, 3 years,
Months.
3 months, I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
that's my,
Seven, well, that's a pretty good deal there.
that's my choice.
I'll jump on that.
Two.
Yeah.
Hmm. So what
So
was
we
the,
have 1, 2,
Well, you get it. Call for
Gotta make a motion.
yeah. Is there a second?
Susan?
Stephanie said, it.
No, I said you have to make a motion.
Okay,
I
we do
moved,
or don't? Do?
I moved.
Yeah.
Stephanie clarified it.
Okay,
We need a second.
I'll second it.
okay.
To be clear, the motion is to approve the contract with a 5% bump in 2 years once certification is obtained, increase to 3 month severance with the potential, can revisit in 2 years if the budget allows for the 5% to be greater. No probationary period for the 3 month, no comp time, and allowing a delegate.
And accrued vacation in the termination without clause.
That's in.
That's state.
Was that,
I think it's already in there.
It's a standard.
Only in termination with cause.
Okay, so that's the motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Counselor Weller. Counselor Webb,
I'm a nay.
Counselor Weller,
Aye.
Mayor Hobart votes aye. Counselor Wagner.
I am voting aye with the caution that we never step out of our lane again.
So you have an aye?
I said that.
Counselor Norman?
Nay.
Okay. Well, 3-2, motion carried. Okay.
I would also,
Go ahead.
I think that some significant historic damage has been caused by our council. And for that, I can only apologize. And I would like to know what we can do, if anything, to help repair. It might just take time. It might take, coming out fatigue or something, but,
Sign the contract.
so are you asking council, is council going to be signing it or are you?
I think you guys should be the signers of it. He should be your employee.
Not the contract we just approved, though.
And that is of concern. Because you have,
I think you have big concerns that you're not addressing with the apologies.
Chain of command.
Not just that, I mean, I think there's a perception that that department is its own entity. I think there's the perception that, and in the last few days, things have happened that prove that to me. So.
I'm not sure I understand what they are.
Well, in the past, we have worked more collaboratively. And there's ways that things have been happening that are clearly not collaboration. So I can give you an example. In the past, when the city had damage to public right of way or whatever, that was a walk across the hall. Today, I got a $10.50 certified letter from the police department that the city had a broken sidewalk. I'm not seen as their supervisor, and I think you guys need to address that.
Um, I'm a peacemaker by nature, and I'd like to figure this out. And I'm not sure right here.
I don't know that you're going to figure it out outside of a public meeting, because the direction I made as the authority of the employees to not do on-call time anymore became your decision.
Yeah.
You gave me a contract to submit to an employee, then you started negotiating with them. And then, but you don't want the onerous of being that employee's boss. But you're trying to
Yep.
go around me and do all these things and muddy the waters and then put us back like we're supposed to be employee and employer. And I don't know that that is easily remedied with your T or whatever you said. It's not funny to me.
No,
It's honestly, after 10 years, it's a slap in the face.
and
for all of you.
It's not funny, and I apologize. I was not laughing. I'm mortified that we have gotten here. I don't know anything about what happened with this letter or why.
No, what I'm telling you is collaboration is broken down because of the dynamic.
Right.
The
And
city does not pay, first of all, it tells me the budget is not being paid attention to, that $10.58 was spent to send a letter across the hall.
Yeah.
That tells me the police department is not looking at the budget. And I'm the person that's responsible for the budget.
Anyway, can we move on?
if you feel that it is appropriate to move on at this time.
Yeah, I do.
Well, I object,
Oh, go ahead.
because I think it needs to be said. We have a chain of command. And I think it needs to be stated very clearly. Employee of city administrator. All other employees are underneath her. The contract, that's what it says. Dawn will be, or whoever gets the contract will be underneath her. And we need to be crystal clear on that. We gotta quit her meddling.
And that means all employees,
What's that?
and with all employees.
Yes.
I don't think
But I think,
has,
no uncertain terms, that needs to be stated as from the council that she has final say. I mean, there's probably an appeal process if it comes to that, but
there is, but not when it comes to staying inside the budget. Decisions that keep us in budget, you guys allowed for that to come to you as a potential to be approved to go out of budget. But I'm the one holding the keys to the budget and I'm the responsible party. That makes absolutely no sense to me. You basically cut me off at the knees. The dynamic is messed up. And then you want to move on? You're not the only person that's thinking about moving on.
Well, I have faith in that you could do your job. I didn't.
You did meddle though. You allowed Sean's complaints to come to you. You allowed that to become a public meeting. Instead of Sean, what Sean wanted, he should have taken that back to me and said, propose this to council. And the problem is the things he wanted are going to take us out of budget. We're going to be lucky if in 3 years we have a police department that's not contracted out the way we're going. And I ride or die for this city and I can see that. And I've been telling you guys that. And it's like, you just want to pay attention to what people want, what you want someone to feel good. I do too, but we can't afford it. You're talking about an increase that potentially we won't people off in 2 years. The way the CBA has us going at 10% every year. Like, and that's reality. It's not what I want it to have happen. It's not what I want for his officers or for him, but it's reality and I'm living in reality.
I don't know what to say. Go ahead, Sean.
So just for the record, the mayor was mowing the grass at the senior center. He waved me down, asked me how the process was going for the chief's contract.
Right.
Okay. I didn't go to him complaining.
I didn't say you did that. I said the dynamic of you talking to him about what you didn't like and him hearing it, inappropriate. He should have said, go to your supervisor. You should not have been sharing. That's where the inappropriateness happens. I didn't say you went out and tried to go talk to him. That's the problem is we're a small town. So people run into each other and they say things and you have to be super careful because council's an elected position. You guys are leaders. So if you say something and you carry someone's torch, they believe they have you carrying their torch. And in the ordinance and in the way this system is set up, you're not supposed to be carrying their torch. An individual employee is not supposed to get to anything through you. Right? I mean, that's the way it's set up.
Oh, yeah.
So when you do that, when you hear someone out about their complaints, instead of directing them back to their supervisor, whether that's public works, whether it's library, whoever, you're intermingling yourselves and messing up the dynamic. Then someone believes they have an ear and their boss gets challenged. Their boss should not be challenged to try and keep the budget in the budget. That's the truth. And when Sean thought he had a path forward, he's pushing for on-call time. I would love to have enough money so that we could have on-call time and we didn't have moments where we have nobody on and nobody preparing to come on. But that is not reality. And so when I, as the administrator, made that decision, that should have stood without any discussion from council. If you're holding me responsible for the budget, you can't be second guessing or you can't hold me accountable. It's one or the other.
I appreciate what you're saying and that you're willing to say it.
And the dynamic with, instead of the collaborative effort of coming across the hall, we're getting a certified letter about a broken sidewalk. That is the disillusion of that dynamic. That is showing me that they're not walking across the hall. The mailman was actually confused. He almost was like, do I give it back to him? It says police department, but it says city of Vernonia. That's embarrassing to me that dynamic is that way.
And I think that's a question that needs to be asked and why it happened.
But it happened because the dynamic got broken enough that there's not this is who we report to anymore. There's not this is who makes the decision. If they don't like the decision, they're sitting at the back of a council meeting talking to each other, right? Like that whole dynamic, so inappropriate. In no other circumstance would you get offered a contract and not like it, go to your boss's boss and still get the job.
Well,
So just to understand, to back up, the procedure is we approve you to handle the contract. You present the contract to Sean. He comes back to you with question or approval or whatever. Then you come back to us with the questions from him. Is that?
That's how it should be, as long as what I'm bringing back to you isn't blowing the budget, because you can't expect me to bring back something I wouldn't support if my job is to keep us in budget. And I think when we had you guys said, oh, we're at an impasse. We were at an impasse about a budgetary constraint, which supposedly, according to ordinance 678, I'm the budget officer. Right? So that's the weird dynamic is a budget constraint should not come to council because one employee wants to blow the budget and the budget officer says no. That should never come to you guys. Because if you're holding me accountable for the budget, I wouldn't knowingly blow the budget, like, or continue to, right? So the extra severance, I'm the budget officer, that's potential blowing the budget, right? The paying for on-call or paying for overtime for an exempt employee outside of minimum staffing, that will blow the budget. There's a reason why typically exempt employees are the heads of departments and they use the salary, the good salary, right? Everyone could be making more money, more like their counterparts in bigger cities, but they use their salary to flex so that their budget stays in line, right? That wasn't happening here. I'm showing it to Sean and saying, hey, we can't do this anymore. And challenged on that. And then it's heard by you guys when it should have stopped with, I said we can't do it anymore. Not because like to be mean to them or not hope the citizens are always safe, but because the money won't support it.
Well, so
Is there anything else you'd like to say, Josiah, at this time? Or you can offer Sean opportunity to say anything.
I would just like to reiterate that I didn't go to Rick complaining. Okay, the mayor pulled me aside, waved me down, asked me how the contract was going, and I explained to him, this is where we're at, and these are the concerns that I have. And I had mentioned those to you when we were dealing with.
And I told you it was
Richard and David.
inappropriate. Didn't I? And you said you didn't intend for it to be that way. And I said, well, it was.
Okay,
Right? We said that in my office.
yeah, we did.
Right. So
And I said I didn't mean any disrespect by it because he was just like Joe Citizen asking me what's the status on the chief's position. I would have told him the exact same thing.
you would have told your complaints with the contract to Citizen.
I would have said we're having a disagreement with, the items on there. Like I said, I didn't mean any disrespect by it, but I didn't go seeking him.
I didn't say you went and seeked him. I said, when you guys met up and he didn't tell you to go back to your supervisor and you started sharing with him your concerns, that's the moment that is inappropriate on both parts.
Okay.
Because if Jeff has a complaint, he's not going to council to complain that I won't let him buy some new sewer item, right? Or some program he wants to implement for water or sewer, right? So if you put it as other people, you can maybe more clearly see where it's not appropriate.
Okay, but if somebody asks Jeff, how's things going at work, and he just says all that stuff, then what's the difference?
But the somebody isn't my boss.
Okay.
Right, and it'd be fine if it died there and they still let me say we're stopping on call time and they didn't get in the middle of it, but the problem is they got in the middle of it and now the dynamic is not collaborative. You're sending certified letters, which has
I didn't.
never happened. You're
Code enforcement did,
in your department.
just like she would anybody else.
You're dreaming if you think that's what that was.
Okay.
She has not sent a certified letter in months. And she's never sent one to the city. So that was a petty move. And it should just be acknowledged as such and not made to be something that it isn't.
Well, I apologize, Josette. I guess that's how we learn is from our mistakes. So I apologize. I won't inappropriately behave like that again. So I'm sorry. Okay. Any new business? Non-business from the departments, police department update.
In front of you, you have the staff report for April 2026 and total calls for service of 224. March was 214. Everything stayed about the same. I think premise checks went down a little bit, but questions?
What's the procedure when you're doing checks? Just call the office and sign up, or is that well known by the public?
Yeah, so like we'll do residence checks and stuff like that. We have a form. All they have to do is if they're going on vacation or if they want, checks while they're not there, they just come down, fill out the form with some contact information and the address, and then we go do checks. But premise checks are like checking the businesses, checking the school,
Post office.
Yeah.
office, yes.
Any news on that?
Yeah, I talked to Thomas and he said that his regional supervisor said just to lock the doors at night. So I'm assuming because they
So there's no,
that they don't have a policy for trespassing people out of there.
I talked to Thomas the other day and asked him if
I
it's
don't
just,
either. Oh,
like here,
I asked him if it's a permanent lockdown, and he said, no, just temporary. So I personally I pay $180 a year for my box, and now I can't get at it, only during business hours. So,
Yeah, City of Scappoose is doing the same thing.
yeah, I know.
I'll tell you, if you had a granddaughter or daughter go down there and walk into that, you would be frustrated beyond, it's just so inappropriate. And it frustrates me that there's no leverage that our police department has to be able to just go in there and throw the guy out, that's what should be done. My wife went in there totally surprised that those guys were in there sleeping in there. It scared her.
Can I ask what happened? I have no idea. Apparently Josette doesn't know either. What occurred?
Recently, one of the homeless, he goes by the name of Kentucky. He walks around with the camouflage coat on. Before the weather, so it was about a week and a half ago, he started sleeping at night, going into the post office and sleeping underneath one of the benches, taking his shoes off and everything. So.
Thank you.
When she went in, she said there was at least two people in there, so I don't know who.
Might have been a different incident. Might have been Mary Lynn and Todd Cartwright, but.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. Any other questions for?
Nope.
Okay. Any ordinances or resolutions? Any correspondence? City administrator report.
So, with the placement of the bollard next to the fire hydrant at Highway 47 and Jefferson, the ODOT ADA project is complete. We sent over all the documents for the SDC study. They're working on developing the plan and the proposed rates. The SIP project, which is the preliminary work for the water intake feasibility study. That project will end up spanning over both budget cycles, but that's a grant, as you know, with the majority of the work happening in the first few months of the next fiscal year. The SIP, so we're just still waiting notification to see if we end up on a member of Congress's project appropriations list to be included in a fiscal year 27 appropriations bill. The SCA, I mentioned to you guys that we had some back and forth with the grant administrator. We sent her all the documentation proving that ODOT had done the ramps, proving that we would just be abutting their pavement asphalt and not affecting the compliance of the ramps. And our application was fully submitted with all that documentation on April 23rd. The man door that had been damaged a few years ago with breaking out of the city hall windows was replaced. We had a local that was a contract worker that since moved out of Anderson Park. Jim McAllister gave us a good deal to help Mitch install that door and the readers back on. They do have a light that the electrician's coming to fix the light in the police department on Thursday. And Lake Campground, so we're still just working on putting together all the required documents for the phase 1 application, which is due June 5th. Then you have the massive amounts of meetings that are coming up. And the city county dinner is slated now for June 18th at the senior center. Do you guys have any other questions for me?
Have you heard from the 142nd wing for our
I
fall?
haven't.
And I've been looking for an email. I might give them a call on Wednesday.
Yeah, I did contact Bill Sherman to talk about whether Legion was going to host the ceremony again, because I got word from Scott Laird that he wanted to know if we were putting an ad in the paper, which Legion put the ad in last time. I think Scott just kind of forgot, but I'm just waiting to hear back from Bill via email once he talks to the other Legion members if they're going to turn on the program again.
Good.
And I did mention that the mayor had called in for a flyover, so that's a potential to happen also.
Fingers crossed there.
Yeah.
And weather holds.
Yeah, no clouds, right? We need no clouds.
No clock.
If they have a bank of clouds, they won't come.
No clouds and rain.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for city administrator? Josette?
Mhm.
Okay. The items from the mayor or councilors.
I just have,
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Dennis.
Go ahead.
Big Fur donated the pole and he just wanted some kind of a note sent to him so that probably for a tax deduction, I would guess.
Okay.
Just requested that. And I said I'd pass it on.
Do you have, he's out of where? Vernonia? Like
Yeah, I can-
address,
yeah, I can get-
contact info would be great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pole.
Oh, Steve's here.
So the,
Go ahead, Josette.
I got a call today. Do you want to see something interesting? Come out to the front of City Hall. And they're like, it's almost here. And it was Jeff in the backhoe, Dennis in the, is it skidder? What is that?
Jason was running the skidder.
Jason.
I was in the track.
Yeah. So they were hauling this new log for the dam through the middle of town, like with bark on it and everything. And so Public Works flagged so that nobody would cross their path, but it was pretty good.
Okay.
Did
So-
somebody get
75
pictures?
I got a video.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So Steve, I was trying to figure out how old that log was. You hauled it in here. Was it 5 years ago?
I could look back on.
Was it pre-COVID?
I even have a picture of it on my phone still. Yeah, I think it was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
The
Okay,
original log that came.
so it lasts about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
It came from Needham or Martin is where it came from.
Yeah, the high water event hit, the log hit the bank and had a weird kind of a mar on the end,
Yeah.
which was
Where it was anchored?
the other end.
Oh.
Yeah.
On the top.
On the top.
Down, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We snuck through town, so Sean didn't see us.
Yeah, we didn't alert the police.
Thanks, Dennis, for doing that.
You had flaggers.
Yeah, you were, it wasn't like anybody, yeah. And it just looked like an extra long log truck going through.
Well, 75 footer is pretty long. It was actually easier the way they did it than using a long logger
Yeah,
to try to make that turn in. Well, it's dumped over by North Street, but
yeah.
still it was easier with that system. Pretty cool. So anything else?
Yes. I thought last Monday we did pretty good, but I guess it didn't turn out as good as I hoped it would because we was in a lot of more discussion tonight about it. But I think a bunch of us forgot about the extra taxes that we're paying for the county to cover over here that we need to get after them to do it for us. I thought we had a good meeting last Monday.
And Susan, you're writing a letter.
I am,
That's coming to the next meeting.
yes.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay.
And I will, yes, I will not be doing it before I head out of town.
And we thought you were talking about lifeguards, so I passed out to all of you an updated, well, who's going to speak to who of them all?
Oh, that's from our risk management consultant at CIS, and that's, the email was just from her addressing the questions, well, not even really questions, just the inquiry from our broker, Tom. He contacted her.
And we have that.
Yeah, it's further. Yeah.
Well, the reason why I made it is I didn't want to add a bunch of that discussion into this meeting tonight, so I wanted to make it a little easier.
I would have stayed home.
And so that's why I did that. So
Save that for next time.
action item summary.
Yeah, I think so. So staff will make the addressed amendments and present the contract to Sean Carnahan and send a note once I get the contact information to Big Fur. Do you have anything else?
Okay. Thank you all for attending. I'll adjourn this meeting at 8:36. Meeting adjourned.